What is Bellum? Well, the short answer is Bellum is a 30-hour game that is held in Sweden with about 400 people and some cars and even some boats. But what does that mean? And in this video, I'm gonna explain you what Bellum is.
The car! Head! We're gonna need to push as hard as possible, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Still have a couple of guys with...
Yo, right! Enemies in the front. Yeah, that's right, you got this!
Chase the fuckers. He's dead.
Now this is the second video that I make about the events that I go to, and I can only make videos about events that I went to so I can give you a good understanding, in my opinion, what the event is and what you experience if you go to the event. So as I said, I will give you more information about the airsoft game Bellum and what it means to me and what makes it special. Now Bellum falls into the category of milsim games or simulation games, depending on how you want to call it, and it falls in the subcategory of big games, what means that you have some infantry, mechanized, you have some combined units, and that people can actually play different roles in the bigger picture. Now I made a video about all the different styles. I will link it here above so you can follow what I mean with big game or simulation event. Now I will split this video up in a few different parts so it's easy to navigate into the video and what you want to know about the event. Now I will try to keep the same topics as I did in all the videos so it's easy to compare all the videos and all the events if you want to. Now the first thing that I'm going to talk about is gameplay. Now the gameplay at Bellum can be described as point driven. That means that both teams are trying to collect as much points as possible, and the missions are really simple, but it works. And that's the cool thing. It's simple, but it works. People don't need a lot of things around it. They just need some simple missions so they can understand what they have to do. And it works really, really well. Now the missions can be from taking points and holding them, or just securing a VIP to the right location, or they can be some really fun stuff like assembling a GBBR in the dark and make sure that it works. Next up is the location, and as I told you, Bellum is in Sweden and it has been taking place in the same place for 4 years. The location on the map is about 10 square kilometers. It was a little bit less last year, but that makes up for a really big area to play on. There is also some water on the sides of the map where you can infiltrate with boats if you want to, and sometimes they include the islands for some small little missions. They didn't do it last year, but the years before they did that, and it was actually pretty fun to fight on a little island. There is a lot of difference in the vegetation. You can go from a very dense woodland to a open plain area, and that makes sure that you have some very diverse airsoft gameplay. The location is located in Verage, or however you want to pronounce that, and that is close to Björkby. And there are also some roads for the vehicles to easily maneuver around the map. The third point is the duration. Now Bellum is a 30-hour game that starts on the Friday around noon and it ends on the Saturday in the evening. The bases are off game during the game time. That doesn't mean you can't go back to the base, but you cannot attack the base itself. So that means that you have around 30 hours of gameplay. Now that doesn't sound a lot, but if you keep pushing until you're not able to push anymore, it's really a long time. So the amount of rest that you take is very limited, and that makes it a very different kind of fatigue. You keep pushing until you're not able to push anymore, and then you'd have to take some rest as short as possible because you have to fight on in the next couple of hours. And this makes the balancing of your energy completely different for the longer events, but very important to keep going for those 30 hours. And an important note, yes, I told you that it starts on Friday around noon, but on Friday you are preparing the whole day for the game. You have to go to briefings, you have to prepare your stuff. So on Friday morning, you're actually already in the game. You are preparing everything with your team. You are doing the briefings with your squad, your platoon, or whatever unit that you're into. So actually the game is already starting before 12 o'clock, but game on is at 12 on Friday. So that's why I advise you to come on Thursday and leave on Sunday, so you can enjoy some things on the Thursday where I go over in a little bit, and if you leave on Sunday you can be on the ceremony on the Saturday evening and you can enjoy the campfire with all the friends that were on Bellum. Next up, teams. And for Bellum, that's really easy. You have two big teams. You got Sparta and you got Legion. And those teams have been the same for 4 years, and I don't think they will change really fast. And it's just really fun to have friends in both teams, and you can have a competitive spirit going the whole year. Now, the team recognition is done with patches, not with camouflage, and you have to carry 2 of those patches on your body on the pre-designated areas. Camouflage pattern doesn't really matter. You can wear whatever you want as long as you wear your patches the correct way. There are no predefined factions in your group, so that means that your HQ has to make the predefined faction. So if you want to play a special role, let HQ know. Get involved in what you want to do during the game so you don't get disappointed if you can't play the role that you want to play. For example, this year in Sparta, we had different platoons and every platoon had a different setup. For example, me, I was infantry and mechanized combined, but you also had infantry alone and some special forces platoon. So whatever you want to play, just let HQ know so you can play the role that you want. Now let's get to the mechanized stuff and talk about vehicles. Now in Bellum we have 2 types of vehicles. We have the cars and we have the boats. Let's start off with the cars. Now there is one class in Bellum, and last year we tried something because we had a real armored car, and they are still looking to perfect that way of working with a real armored car. But usually there is one type of car. You have a sensor in the front of the car, you have a sensor in the back of the car. If one of the sensors is shut out, you are disabled. If both sensors are destroyed, your car is exploded and you have to go to respawn with your car. It's a pretty simple system and it really works, and it's really fun to play it that way. For the advanced rules, I advise you to go to the rulebook of Bellum. It's a really cool rulebook with a lot of pictures, so you will understand what is going on. Another cool thing is that they try to balance the cars as much as possible, so it's not allowed to have more cars on the field at the same time as your opponent. And the fun thing with those hitboxes is that you as an infantryman, you can disable or destroy a vehicle if you work together as a team. And the second thing that we have are the boats, and also the boats are brought by the players. You have to do all the safety equipment and you have to follow all the safety rules that you need to follow if you're on a boat. And yes, there is some water on the sides of the map, so you can use those boats for infiltration or recon missions. Next up, Larp. This is really easy. There is no Larp on Bellum. It is point driven, and it's only point driven. It is action, action, action. It is shooting at each other without asking questions. On-site purchases. Yeah, the things you buy on site. Well, there are a few different booths on site. You can buy food, you can buy rifles. There was not a lot of equipment you could buy, so be sure to bring all your equipment that you need. If you have a problem with your rifle, there was a booth that you can go with your rifle and they would fix your rifle for you. I think that was a Velox Airsoft. Food-wise, you can eat burgers. Of course, you can eat burgers. You can eat burgers at almost every event. But the fun thing was that there was also free coffee every day. You just had to bring your mug and you can get your coffee and start your day. One thing about the burgers, I didn't get the chance to eat one because they were sold out pretty fast, and apparently they were really good. Everybody was saying only good things about those burgers. So next year I'm really gonna try a burger. Next up is the marshals, or the crew that is creating Bellum for us. Now, the crew at Bellum is one of the most dedicated people I have ever seen on an Airsoft event. They try to perfect every little thing as good as they can, and I must say it is working. Every year they step up their game a little bit and they are perfecting everything that they are doing. And they listen to the feedback of the players and they try to implement that feedback as much as possible. And they even have time for a small laugh or a small talk before, during, or after the game, which is pretty fun because they are in a stressed position right now. They want to have the game as good as possible, and yeah, if you have a question, just go to a crew member and they will answer it with a smile. On site, because it's point driven and you know what objectives that are going on, there is always crew around the bigger objectives. On the smaller ones, yeah, it's usually that there is not crew around, but if you need them, there is a telephone number on your player ID card, which I will get to it in a moment. So if you need crew, you can call them at any time and they will respond very fast. There is always crew on ATVs. If you need them, they will be there really fast. Before the game, most of the information is given on the Facebook page that is created by Bellum itself. You always have the Legion and the Sparta Facebook group, but then HQ is taking over and they decide on what platform they want to keep communicating with their players. Now, how much do you spend to go to Bellum? Well, the price for the ticket is 950 crowns, Swedish crowns, or it's about 95 euros. In that ticket price, you get, of course, your game, and you also get your welcome package. I will go over that in a minute. So you buy your Sparta or your Legion ticket, but the fun thing was that they had one extra ticket that you could buy, and that was if you didn't care on which team that you were playing, you can buy a ticket that was a bit cheaper, and at game start they were looking if these sides were unbalanced, and then those players would be placed in the team that was with the fewer players. So if you went to check in, you got your welcome package, you got your 2 team patches, you got your medic patch, you got some patches from Marksman and Bellum 2022, you got your map, you got your player ID card, and you got what was the last thing? Oh, you got your kill cards, because the kill cards are really fun mission based thingy. And with every ticket you bought, you also entered the raffle for the Saturday after the game. There was a small raffle with some things that were given out to the players. If you buy your ticket, you can also add some small different items in your basket to buy with your ticket, and then you can collect them on site. For example, a power bank, a red light, a dead rag, some small items that you would need during the game. You can buy them separately, but if you don't want to do that, you can buy it with your ticket. Now for me as a Belgian, it's a little bit more expensive to go to Bellum because we have to think about the traveling costs, and for me it's about 250 euros to go to Bellum, all costs included. Now let's get to some of the special things that are specific for Bellum. Now the first thing is they use RS Alpha, and I love RS Alpha. You can see it on the videos that I make about it. I love the system and how it can elevate the game to a higher level. Now they used almost everything that RS Alpha had to offer. You can track the people, HQ could use it to send out missions and orders. They could use the perks, and they did. We used the EMP, we used the UAV a lot, and that was really cool to use during the game, especially for HQ because they got a lot of tools to play with and steer the mission in the way that they wanted it to go. Now another cool thing is that on Thursday, if you were ready with all the things that you had to do to prepare yourself for the game, you could go to some fun things. For example, there was some real steel shooting that you could go to, and you could visit some booths that were in the safe zone. Now the cool vibe that was going on is in the safe zone, or in the safe area, everything was located in one area, which made that everybody was still socializing with everybody. So Thursday was actually a very socializing day, which for me is really fun to do because, you know, I like to talk to people. And that brings us to the next point. The bases are very close. That means that in the safe zone, you got the Legion base and you got the Sparta base very close to each other. And because I have friends on both sides, it was fun for me to go to Legion base and talk to them, and not about the game, but just talking with the people that I haven't seen for a long time. And then I could go back to Sparta base and talk to the people that I haven't seen for a really long time. And if we met up in one of the booths, we could talk about the things that were in the booth. So the big middle part of the map was a really social place. And that's something that is really fun to do on a Thursday before the game. And the last special thing they do on Bellum is they have the player ID card, and that is actually a really good ID. Now the player ID card, you have to carry it on your person at all times, and on that card there is the security number that you, if you have an emergency, that you can call to, but there's also the room for the strikes. If you do something that you're not allowed to do, you get a strike, and that is added to your player card. Now they also use the player card because Velox was giving free water to the players, so if you got your free bottle of water, they clicked one of the boxes in your card, and that showed that you got your bottle of water. It's a really simple system to keep track of what the player is doing and what the player has done in the past. So yeah, really simple, and it works really well. Now what makes Bellum special for me, or just as a player, for me it makes it special that I have friends on both sides. So that means that if you're in your team, you give it 150% to kick the ass of your friends, because that's what you do. Like, it's a competitive vibe all the time, and afterwards you just have fun and you talk about how the missions went and what was going on. And especially in the videos, people will see what was going on a little bit better, and they will understand how we kicked their asses or how they kicked our asses. Also, because of the simple setup with the points, there is no discussion about the missions. It's a really simple setup. If you completed your mission, you got the points. If you didn't complete it, you don't get the points. For me, this was my 4th Bellum that I did, and every one of them I loved going to. You can see it in the videos. I love the event, the vibe that is going on, and I can't wait to start prepping for 2023 and talk about it with everybody that is going. And don't forget, my videos of Bellum 2022 will be on my channel, so if you don't want to miss them, consider subscribing to the channel. Now to sum up Bellum, I will give you some numbers. Now note, those are approximate numbers. It can vary a little bit depending on the year that you go to, but yeah, it's an idea about what is going on Bellum. There are 400 players divided in 2 teams. Time-wise, it is a 30-hour game, a non-stop game, but you can go back to your base if you want to. We had 10 vehicles, which some of them were boats. Well, there was 1 boat this year. The map area is about 10 square kilometers big, but you also have some water which you can't really play on, but with the boats you can use it to your advantage. And the ticket price is 95 euros, or for the Swedish people, 950 crowns. And with this video, I hope I answered all your questions about Bellum, and if you think I forgot a category, put it in the comments so I can add it to my next videos, or I will answer your questions in the comments depending on how I want to do it. And of course, I will keep making videos like this about events that I went to give you as much information about the events as possible. But for now, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week for a new video. Bye!